broadcasting live from the Albay PIO News Center, providing you the most exclusive news updates from all over the province. This is News at 12. For the local scene, the Sangguniang Panlalawigan ng Albay or SPA has approved an ordinance to institutionalize the Provincial Youth and Development Office or PYDO as a department within the provincial government of Albay. The Committee on Laws, Rules and Oversight recommended the passage of the proposed provincial ordinance number 04-2025 titled An Ordinance Upgrading the Youth and Sports Development Division under the Governor's Office into a department to be known as the Provincial Youth and Development Office in the PGA. This ordinance was authored by Albay 1st District Board Member, Attorney Sheena Marie Unrubia de la Cruz, with co-authorship from 2nd District Board Member, Vicente F. Baltazar III, and SK Federation Albay President, Carlos Matthew C. Gamboa. The ordinance aligns with Republic Act No. 1074, known as the Sangguniang Kabataan Reform Act of 2015, which mandates the establishment of a Youth Development Office in all provinces, cities, and municipalities to enhance youth participation and empowerment. Additionally, the ordinance requires the creation of the position of Provincial Youth Development Officer. Through this ordinance, the province aims to elevate and strengthen youth and sports programs, address various challenges, and provide effective solutions. Meanwhile, first ever Down Syndrome Hub in PH to be built in Albay. The first ever Down Syndrome Hub in the Philippines will soon rise and be established in the Albay province. The groundbreaking is scheduled for March. The hub will be built at the Bicol Regional Hospital Medical Center in Legazpi City. This project, initiated by the Northfield Foundation Incorporated in partnership with BRHMC, aims to align or provide services for children with special needs through a state-of-the-art facility, advanced medical equipment, and a professional medical staff. Additionally, the hub seeks to break down barriers, ensuring that individuals with Down syndrome can access quality healthcare services tailored specifically for them. Under the Northfield project, titled Enhancing Access to Services for Persons with Down Syndrome, this initiative will be funded by the Paula Foundation of the Netherlands and the Lilian Funds. It is worth noting that the Northfield Foundation signed an agreement with BRHMC on September 11, 2024 in Legazpi City to establish the said hub. The Northfield Foundation Incorporated is a national non-governmental organization that advocates for an inclusive and healthy community where children are nurtured with all love and care. In the national scene, Department of Transportation Secretary Vince Dizon was seeking all current directors, assistant secretaries, and undersecretaries to submit their resignations. This is Dizon's loan memorandum allowing him freely This is Dizon's loan memorandum, allowing him freely to fulfill the mission that President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. gave him. There have been rumors circulating that Dizon would assign some staff to Arthur Tugada's office, the former head of the Department of Transportation. It can be recalled that the USEC for Planning, TJ Batan, took over as officer in charge after Undersecretary for Rails Jeremy Regino resigned in January. In another story, former Senate President Enrile advised lawmakers to take note of the lessons learned from earlier congressional impeachment. Former Senate President Juan Ponce Enrile advised lawmakers to study the impeachment trials that have been conducted in recent years. This might be used as guiding documents by the two chambers to bolster their different stances in the prosecution of Vice President Sara Duterte, Enrile noted. Instances of this included the impeachment trials of former Justice or Chief Justice Renato Corona, former Ombudsman Merceditas Gutierrez, and former President Joseph Estrada. To direct the future trial against Vice President Duterte, the previous Senate President stressed that these should be studied because they will set a precedent. However, Enrile also feels that the Senate should look at previous impeachment cases, even though the merits of the petition challenging the Supreme Court's impeachment complaint against Duterte cannot be publicly discussed. When former CJ Corona's impeachment complaint proceeded, Enrile was the Senate President, and he thereby took on the role of presiding judge. In another story, Marcos ordered government agencies to further refine water resources bill. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. ordered government agencies to refine further the bill proposing the creation of the Department of Water Resources so that its framework will ultimately ensure a clean, reliable water supply for Filipinos. Marcos issued a directive during a sectoral meeting for a few government agencies at Malacanang State Dining Room. The Department of Water Resources was proposed in 2019 during the administration of then-President Rodrigo Roa Duterte in response to a water shortage that affected Metro Manila that year. In December 2023, the House of Representatives passed House Bill number 9663, which pushed forward the agency's creation on the third reading, and the Senate's version of the bill, Senate number 2771, is still awaiting second reading consideration. To develop, manage, and distribute water resources nationwide, the measure promoted the establishment of the Department of Water Resources as the primary regulatory body. Additionally, it suggested developing a thorough framework for the management of the Philippines' water resources, which would direct policies, decisions, as well as the growth and administration of all water resources. According to the Legislative Executive Development Advisory Council, one of the highest priority legislation on the common legislative agenda is the one that calls for the establishment of the Department of Water Resources and the Water Regulatory Commission. For the news outside the country, four people, including 2 Chinese nationals, were killed and 6 injured after a bridge collapsed at an expressway construction site in South Korea on Tuesday, authorities said. Dramatic images of what seemed to be a portion of the bridge falling and a huge cloud of smoke rising into the air were broadcast by various local media. According to a National Fire Agency statement, 4 persons have died. 5 were critically hurt and 1 was only slightly hurt. 2 South Koreans and 2 Chinese nationals were among the dead, an Interior Ministry spokesman told AFP. The incident happened in Anshong, about 65 kilometers or 40 miles south of the capital of South Korea, at approximately 9:50 a.m. The National Fire Agency then retracted its initial report that happened in the nearby city of Shonan. According to the NFA, all individuals who suffered injuries are currently being treated at hospitals. The construction site's principal contractor, Hyundai Engineering, expressed regret and stated it was supporting the authorities. Choi Sang-mok, the acting president, gave urgent orders to mobilize all personnel and resources for the rescue effort. Data from Seoul's Labor Ministry shows that between 2020 and 2023, over 8,000 people died in South Korea as a result of their jobs. In another story, Russian gets a 16-year jail term for spying for Ukraine. A Russian military court has sentenced a man to 16 years in jail for providing Ukraine with data on a military site near Moscow and preparing attacks. According to the Russian Investigative Committee, the individual recorded an air defense system in Volsk, south of Moscow, in April and supplied pictures and topographical information to his Ukrainian mentors to guide a drone strike against the military target. Hundreds of treasons, terrorists, espionage, and sabotage lawsuits have been filed by Moscow authorities against its residents for allegedly assisting Kiev or attempting to thwart the Russian army's full-scale offensive, which was initiated February 2022. According to the committee, the guy also smuggled weapons from the Ukraine to Russia in 2017 to plan assaults in several areas that border Ukraine, including Belgorod, Kursk, and Bryansk. He was convicted by the court of participating in terrorist operations, armed trafficking, and attack preparations, it explained. Courts have sentenced those found guilty of treason to years in prison, and security agents have also targeted anyone suspected of harboring pro-Ukrainian sympathies. And that ends our 12 or News at 12 for today, February 27, 2025. We'll be back tomorrow for more news updates. Thanks to our News at 12 writers, Danilyn Racion and LJ Lorejo. And on the technical side, we have Chad Bobis. This has been your anchor for today, Cherry Mae Dacoro, pitching in for Sir Greg Halyare. Thank you for subscribing.